Welcome to PLZ Soccer's Scottish Cup preview this weekend. Peter, how can this cup act as a hindrance for some teams and maybe a lucky escape for others, do you think?
Well, I think some managers will be looking at this whole situation and thinking, is it a welcome escape for the players? Can we just focus on this, take the heat of the negativity of the league campaign out of it and maybe take their minds off it and get a confidence boosting win if you're playing a lesser team? I don't know about you, but that's one of the things that I think, the likes of a Callum Davison, a Stephen Hamill, definitely a Jim Goodwin, and would you believe it, I also think Lee Johnson comes in that category.
Well, you've just kind of stole the answers from the next question for Hugh. I was going to ask you, there's three teams I think who will be slightly worried about their fixtures this weekend. Who do you think?
Three that I would think we're worried about. Well, Aberdeen will not be relishing going to Darvel. That's a certainty.
Yeah.
If we're talking about big, Premier League teams or Premiership teams going, they'll not be wanting to go to Darvel on a Monday night. Hibs could do without a derby.
Yeah.
And I would say that Motherwell Arbroath is a tricky one as well. The flip side of that, of course, is that if you get the results, it's the precise game that you want. If you can imagine in Monday morning in Edinburgh and Hibs have won, that changes the whole narrative. Football is so volatile. One game can change. It's not just a matter of sparking the players. The whole club gets re-energised, and one game, 1 minute even, can change a season. But that would be the three big ones for me.
And just like you mentioned there, that could be the magic of the cup games though, because it's one game, 90 minutes, or goes on, and you're out if you don't win. If
you don't win, you're out. The other thing as well about it is that if you go into it, it's a fresh playing field. You can say to players, this is a one-off game. Let's go for it. I'm thinking particularly about Hibs at the moment, who are in the wrong end of the stick in Edinburgh. Certainly the wrong end of the stick in the Premiership as well, and they'll be thinking, do you know what, we could change this around. It's going to be hugely difficult for them because
also, that point that you made there, Hugh, the other part of it is if they win a game, they're all lifted, and then they've got that whole week where the manager gets a chance to go and try and buy players.
That's right.
Because that window is closing very, very soon, and they're going to have to look and say to their chairman or their chief executive, I need this, I need that. We need to try and strengthen here or there. Yep. And the worst thing you've got, Kerry, is, if you're out of the cup, then all of a sudden you go into the chairman's office and you start saying, I think we need more than I first asked you for.
Exactly.
And this underdog thing as well, Peter, you can make a case for the underdog. I mean, it's pretty difficult and make a case against Hibs, against Hearts. Hearts are really playing very well, as we know Hibs are. But Nisbet's in good form. McGeady is a top-class player, so them linking up, you think would provide a goal. Arbroath are at home, a stadium nobody likes to go to, so you can make it. I know they're not in the form they were last year, but still a strong team. Dick Campbell, the team prepared. And Darvel will say, well, Aberdeen coming down here, we play a bit of football, it's our stadium, we've got a chance. I don't think any of the underdogs in those three games will do it. Yeah. But you can make a case.
And it's difficult for Kerry because obviously it's her show and she has to drive the whole thing. Yep. Usually Ruffy and Tam McManus just sit here like the nodding dog in the Churchill
and they run it.
And then they wait, but we're in there taking the ball off or kicking it about. How do you handle that, Kerry?
Right, we'll start with the cup holders, right? And Matt on to talk. Rangers against St Johnstone. Callum Davidson says, Peter, that he's had to shake up his team after a horrendous run after the World Cup break.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's amazing. Every manager will tell you, and especially from Hugh's perspective and mine, you look at a run of 5 games and they're winning games, and you're thinking, God, I tipped St Johnstone to get relegated, and then all of a sudden they get a bit of form. Nicky Clark comes in, he scores goals, and the manager's thinking this is good. And then all of a sudden you come back after the World Cup, you're on 6 games without a win, heap the pressure on you, and over and above that, somehow they managed to complete a PR disaster by giving 3 stands to the Rangers fans. It couldn't have been a more difficult week for Callum Davison. You only have to sense in his body language when you see him in the press conference that the whole thing is caving in on him at the moment. He is looking at it, and maybe he looked and said to himself, okay, it's a free hit against Rangers, but suddenly it becomes potentially another defeat and more problems for him. Yeah. And he's already said to the chairman, by the way, I know he's leaving, but I need more players. I brought in 12 to 14 players in the summer, but I need more now because this isn't working out.
Oh, interestingly, on your point there about the stands being filled with Rangers fans, he said at the press conference earlier this week, for those who are thinking about boycotting this game, please come, please support us. It just shows you the impact that the home fans can have on them.
Oh, absolutely, because you're making it into a real home match for Rangers, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and we can all see the financial reasons for that, but the PR side of it and the relationship with the fans there's a disastrous side, frankly, and it doesn't. It puts another factor against a team that doesn't need anything else against it. What St Johnstone really needed was to walk out with a packed McDermott Park, everybody shouting and bawling, saying T's cries, everybody go. That's what they needed from the get-go, and they won't have that. Again, we know the reasons for it, but it really has backfired, not just in a PR way, but I think in with the team and the manager.
Just from a Rangers point of view then, Beale says he wants these two to show him who should be number one in goals. They've been chopping and changing so far, haven't they?
I can't get to the bottom of this Michael Beale thing. I really can't. I just don't understand it. I mean, one week he says Alan McGregor is the best goalkeeper in Scotland. Then he drops him. People now call it rotating, but he's not in the team. And then he goes, John McLaughlin's the best goalkeeper at set pieces. And, well, you notice he wasn't terrific at set pieces the other night. Then he says Robbie McCrory has to, have to make a decision on him. Well, you've got to give him a game.
He's going to be challenging next season,
You've got to give him. So I think some of the chat from him is that I think there was one quote where he said we'll have a decision to make between John McLaughlin and Robbie McCrory in the summer. That suggests that this is Alan McGregor's last season then.
Yeah.
Although he denied it, I've still got to talk it. So I think it's an unnecessary kind of distraction for Rangers. I don't think, you pick your goalie, you stick, okay, you might rotate a goalkeeper for a cup game.
Yeah, different competitions,
most do that. But this kind of, I think as well, and people say, well, how important is it? I think it's important for a back four. I think it's important that they know who they're going in with, because it changes. Every goalkeeper has some idiosyncrasies. They some are more likely to come out for shots, some like this, some like that, some like the ball at their feet, etc., etc. I think it's just unnecessary.
Any chance you could stop using the word idiosyncrasy? Just keep to the Tam and Ruffy word. Short, 4 letters in the word.
We're running over here.
Yeah, fire on.
Signal there. Right, what are we doing for this one? What do you think? Rangers.
No cut shot. Rangers will win.
Rangers.
Right, okay, moving on to Celtic then, Peter. Ange Postecoglou, ever so vague as usual about his comings and goings of transfers. Do you think Jackie Marcus could get a new deal, or is he out the door?
Well, if you listen to the manager, suddenly there's a change of heart here. There seems to be a situation where he's not going anywhere at the moment. Nobody's going out, and nothing's going on in the background, and we're all taking a pot shot in the dark about it. If that's his last 3 press conferences, so Jackie Marcus may well stay. They may well have had a change of heart and say, okay, we're going to give you the money that you want, or reach some kind of compromise. But I still think, he needs one more striker. Then he's got a nice pool of 4 really good ones to choose from, and then from there, I think it goes to what Carol Starfelt said. This is a squad so strong that they should be thinking about the treble. Yeah.
Well, Hugh, Dougie Imrie scored against Celtic to put them out in 2013 in the League Cup. Ali Roy's hoping they can do the same this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be a real clash of styles as well. I've watched Morton a couple of times this season, and it's the long throws that caused Celtic some problems against Kilmarnock, but certainly great problems against St Mirren. They'll be batting for. They just shell. It's like mortars coming in. There'll be long balls. Celtic will change their team. I think there'll be a few. Obviously, they'll get their chance. Maybe Turnbull, who's looked very much in the periphery. I would think it might be a good idea to start him tomorrow. Others, Ralston, we know, is back in the frame. But I don't see an upset, no.
No, what are we going for?
Celtic,
right. Arbroath against Motherwell. This could be a real interesting one. Huge for Stevie Hamill, Hugh. Yeah,
absolutely. He's one of the managers that needs a result, needs to change things round, needs to get that wee bit of kick. It's going to be hard at Arbroath as well. It's a place you just don't want to go to. I've been there many a day in Scottish Cup duties over the years, and it can be just the place as well. It can be hostile with the wind and the weather. But I still think Motherwell might just have enough to do it, because I think Arbroath are not what they were last year.
okay, they're not what they were last year, but I'm going for a shock. I'm going for a broth to knock Motherwell out of the cup.
There you go. Dick Campbell says we're going to have a go. Why not?
Exactly.
Right, Aberdeen and Darvel. Ross McCrory's come out and says his team are not on the same mentality they should be. They're embarrassing.
No.
Should you be saying things like that when your team's going through the run that they are, or keep your mouth
They always
shut?
say honesty is the best policy, but sometimes it's best to keep it in the house. I mean, I think it's obvious. I said the other day that I thought there was a mentality problem. Peter picked up quite correctly and said there's also a defending problem. And I think so too. But I think, see when you go on the road and you've got that record on the road and you lose so easily at times on the road, I think that points to, some kind of lack of drive, lack of leadership. I think it's a hugely interesting game because I've watched Darvel this year, and as I said earlier, Darvel play a bit of football, like to play a bit of football.
Right.
Tight wee ground, nice wee ground actually, but I think Aberdeen will do it.
Yeah. If Aberdeen don't do it, then basically Jim Goodwin just has to say, okay, whatever you've decided, Mr. Cormack, I'm taking the punishment, pay me off, thank you and good night.
Aberdeen win then?
Aberdeen win, got to win.
Right, finally then, we've got Hibs against Hearts Edinburgh Derby in the 4th round. Nielsen says he will be in the stand, obviously, but that won't affect his players. They'll just go out and win the game.
Yeah, well,
pretty confident today.
Good on him for being confident. I mean, he should be confident. We're really flying high. Hibs aren't. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But what Hibs have got, as we touched on earlier, I think Hibs have got goals in the team. They've certainly got in Kevin Nisbet, the best player in Scotland. As somebody said.
Someone said that.
But honestly, in his form, he's absolutely in top-notch form at the moment. Again, I think he's got players around him that can give. They can supply goals. McGeady would be the obvious one. So I think they've got a shout. I don't think they're without hope. I just think Hearts are too strong at the moment.
Yeah.
Big comparison, Shankland and Nisbet. Peter, who do you like better? Who do you prefer?
Well, I prefer Shankland because, unfortunately for Hibs, Shankland's got better players around him. Mm-hmm. So I think Shankland and Hearts will win the game. I think even though they weren't flying against Aberdeen the other night, they still scored goals.
Yeah.
And I think they've got too much. And I think Snodgrass is the absolute jewel in the crown.
Absolutely.
He controls the whole pace of the game. And I think they'll have too much for Hibs. I think Hibs are out, and I think Lee Johnson's got a lot of talking to do to the board.
If this doesn't go Hibs' way, is he in more trouble?
I think they're going to stick with him, but what I think he'll have to do is convince them to give him the money to get 2 or 3 players in quickly. I think this will be Porteous' final farewell. He's holding on. Then Monday he'll probably go and join Blackburn, and then let him go and then bring in centre half. Obviously he'll try and look for something in the middle of the park.
Yep.
I personally think he should look for more defenders because I think that's why they are in the predicament they are. They can't defend properly.
They're very poor at centre back, and you saw that against Celtic. They were so easily exposed at centre back.
What are we going for then? Hearts win, do you think?
Hearts
Peter?
win.
Hearts win for me.
Okay, finally we'll squeeze our quiz in. Scottish Cup quiz. Right, okay. Fastest answer wins, Hugh. Right? So, here we go. Okay.
I'm 68.
It's quite difficult. Okay, I started with a hard one for you, okay? Who is the Scottish Cup top all-time goal scorer?
That's a good one.
Bobby Lennox.
Dixie Deans.
James McGrory.
Of course he is.
74 goals.
Yeah.
Okay, when did Hibs last win the Scottish Cup?
16.
2016.
Yeah,
Correct.
2016.
Hugh,
There was a ghost of a voice from
There was
elsewhere
an
there.
echo there.
He turned up in time. What happened to McManus? Bumped from a Saturday show. It's a sign of things to come.
Best pundit in Scotland.
Yeah, according to that Tam himself. Go on.
Okay, who scored the winning goal for Rangers in the 2003 Scottish Cup final?
Lovencrans.
Wrong.
Oh, Amoruso.
Correct.
Way against Dundee.
One each. Okay.
You're raging, aren't you?
St Johnstone lifted the Scottish Cup after a 2-0 win in 2014, but who did they play?
They played Dundee United.
They did, yes.
Oh, there you are.
2-1. Oh, you get a draw
Well done,
this year. Who scored in last year's final between Rangers and Hearts?
Oh, the winner.
Who scored both goals?
Who scored both goals?
Different people, not the same.
Ryan Jack scored one.
He did.
And the second one was... God, goodness gracious.
No.
Scott Wright.
Correct. There you go.
There you are, Hugh.
There you go. Well, thanks for joining us this week. You can join Peter and Tam tomorrow on the Saturday Football Show from 4 till 6. We'll be back next week with another round of fixtures to look forward to. We'll see you then.
Uncensored, unbiased, unmatched. The Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.